Hello, users, and welcome to Above It All, the show in where I talk about things that I find relatively important. But sometimes I like talking about shit that's just kind of in the weeds and for fun, and this is going to be in that category. Ultimately, and I'm going to say this is going to be my fundamental thesis. Ultimately, this doesn't matter. Like, this literally does not matter. Like, and there's a lot of people in like a frenzy over this, like, oh, how dare he, and all that blah blah blah. It doesn't fucking matter. It's dumb. It's fundamentally the wrong move, I think. But also, I don't think it matters. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't really going to push the needle, really, I don't think, in any direction. It's just kind of silly. But yeah, so Bernie Sanders hates that his staff launched a super PAC, so they're changing the name. I think it was originally like a Future to Believe PAC or something, their 2016 slogan. And I love that picture of Bernie, by the way. Bernie's pissed off, said one former staffer. I love that picture. It's a really good picture. I love Bernie Sanders. You will never, this ethereal person, you will never have me not like Bernie. No matter how many times he fucks me in the face with his fucking betrayals or whatever you want to say, I don't care. Bernie has done more for this country than I think anybody has more good for this country, I should say, than anybody has, at least since the 1960s or 70s. So, I love Bernie Sanders. So I'm sorry. Like, you can call me cheesy if you want, but I've got some highlights here. He didn't authorize it. He doesn't like super PACs, and he doesn't want it to exist. That's really good. Said one former staffer. Familiar with Sanders' feelings about the group. Bernie's pissed off, said another. That was the header. And so the main architect behind this seems to be Jeff Weaver, and they give a little bit of a synopsis of Jeff Weaver's kind of history with Bernie here. Weaver has been among Sanders' closest advisors for decades. He first worked for Sanders in 1986, serving as his driver on Sanders' unsuccessful gubernatorial campaign that year before working his way up to be Sanders' campaign manager on numerous campaigns, including his 2016 presidential run, as well as his chief of staff in his congressional office for years. He was a senior advisor on Sanders' 2020 campaign, part of Sanders' inner circle. So this is my thing, is there was a point where I kind of liked Jeff Weaver. He had that kind of like I liked Faiz Shakur, but he was a little too soft and a little too unstable and a little too clingy for my take. But I liked Jeff Weaver a little bit more as kind of like a spokesperson. And again, I completely disagree with this step. I don't think that this makes Jeff Weaver some grand conspiratorial architect of evil, like a lot of people are saying. I don't know. For me, I think right now a lot of people have high emotions, and that's okay. But really, I'm getting sick and tired of people saying if someone does one wrong thing, then they're forever, like their entire career was like a corporate spy or something. It's really bizarre. Again, I think that this PAC that they're launching, and yeah, I'll read this part real quick before getting into my spiel. Weaver said he hopes to raise millions, if not tens of millions, from large donors to target Sanders voters in key areas to help encourage them to back Biden and defeat Trump. Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin are the top of the list, and if this group raises enough money to expand its efforts, he said Maine's 2nd Congressional District and North Carolina are potential future targets. I live in North Carolina, for reference. And so, again, I think this is mostly a wash. I think it does kind of ruin their credibility going forward, but I don't think that this is some evil thing. At some other point in the article, they say that Jeff Weaver plans on not taking that much money from this, and he just wants to help Biden get elected over Trump. Now, again, I think this is bad strategy. I think this is bad praxis, and I think this is just bad. But I also don't think it's going to have any lasting bad effects other than piss people off. And ruin Jeff Weaver's credibility, which I do think those are things that we should definitely consider. Like having him be any sort of senior official in any sort of future campaign is definitely something you should be very skeptical of, given this. But again, my thing with super PACs is I think they're blanket terrible just because they do lead to corruption. Now, obviously, you can make the Elizabeth Warren argument and saying, we need every tool in our arsenal to beat Donald Trump, like she says, and then now all of a sudden, every tool in the arsenal doesn't matter because we have to back up Joe Biden no matter what. A little weird, but hey, whatever. I do think this is ultimately a wash because if it does move the needle, and hypothetically it helps Biden win against Trump, like I've said this before, go watch my 30-minute video about whether or not Biden and Trump are identical. Go watch that. I think that'll cover a lot of this. But I will vote, strategically speaking, I will vote for whoever has the highest likelihood of beating Donald Trump whenever the general election is. And so again, and I will make sure that I will spend my time to ensure that that's not Biden, but I also know I have little to no power as far as that is concerned. So it'll probably end up being Biden. And I don't think it really matters if they do a super PAC because if Biden wins, I don't think Sanders people are going to be that driving factor. I think that there are signals, like look at Virginia's primary where they nearly doubled their voter turnout and Biden won. I think there are signals like that, and you look at the 2018 midterms, I think that there are definitely signals out there that are saying Biden has a good chance of winning because of voter turnout. Now, there's also polling that I might get into later that shows Biden being decimated in swing states. And so it's definitely scary. Now, again, I live in North Carolina. Again, I will vote, strategically speaking, the day of the election, I will make my decision on who has the highest likelihood of beating Donald Trump in North Carolina. And up until then, again, I'm not going to carry water for Joe Biden. I'm not going to endorse him. I'm not going to support him. I'm not going to call. I'm not going to canvass. I'm not going to donate. I'm not going to do any work for Joe Biden. And that's what people need to understand the difference of. Voting for someone on a piece of paper is not working for them. Working for them is working for them. Okay? I did fucking my own amounts of Bernie dialing. I was on the phones a lot. I did countless donations. I think I donated like 70 times to the campaign. I remember seeing like 69 on one of them, and I took a screenshot of it because I thought it was funny. I went to canvass for Bernie Sanders in my own town, and I went to South Carolina to canvass. I literally went to South Carolina. I traveled from North Carolina to South Carolina for the express specific purpose of canvassing to help Bernie get elected. And that is work, okay? That is actual work. I remember after 4 straight days of walking up and down hills for 9 hours a day or so, I remember, 3 days actually, I think it was. I remember it was pretty painful on my back. And, that was work, And I will not do any of that for Joe Biden, all right? And that's what people have to understand, is voting for someone is not voting, is not like, getting on your hands and knees and like begging them to suck on their dick. And that's what people have this bizarre association with that. And it's just bizarre to me. I really don't get it. And if Jeff Weaver and the other Sanders people that went to form the super PAC actually think that this is the best way for them to help Biden get elected, I think they're wrong. But I do think that strategically speaking, I think they're wrong for doing the super PAC. But I don't think supporting I don't think being I'm sorry. I'm a little, my brain is broken. I do not think that if you acknowledge that Trump cannot be reelected, I don't think that automatically makes you a Biden shill. And so I think that association is bizarre to me. And so I want to expressly say that I am dissatisfied and I'm very skeptical of the super PAC. However, I am not in any capacity skeptical or dissatisfied with them choosing to spend their time to ensure that Trump does not get reelected. That, I think, is a valuable and worthwhile pursuit. Now, I would prefer, if you're going to do that, there are other ways to do that, okay? So, for example, you can just 1,000% promote down-ballot races. You can go to these swing states and work on down-ballot race congressional teams and Senate, stuff like that. You can work to flip the Senate. Because here's the thing. If you can convince someone to vote for a Democratic senator or a Democratic representative in November, that it has a higher likelihood of them just voting for Joe Biden at the top of the ticket than anything else. Because if someone wasn't going to vote and you convince them not to vote for the president, the most likely person, but if you convince them, yeah, go vote just so you can vote for the congressional person, that person is likely to vote for Joe Biden. Like, statistically speaking, if people go there to vote for a Democratic congressional representative or a senator or, a fucking superintendent or a treasury or whatever other election there's going on, chances are they're just going to vote Dem the whole ticket. I know that when I have voted, sometimes there's something I haven't researched all the way, and I'll just go like, all right, I'll just vote for this person. Now, I'm not going to tell you who, but sometimes, if there's 19 candidates on the field and I forgot to research one, I'll just, gut. I'm not going to just leave it unfilled, although maybe I should. But, and that's what you can placate on. That's what you can work on in order to help Trump lose. Because I think if Biden wins, I think a Senate flip is very likely. I think if you work fully on flipping the Senate, the effects of the Senate flipping will just by default kind of enable Joe Biden or whoever to beat Donald Trump in November in the presidential election. And that's what people, I think, are missing here. Because I do think the Senate is more important. I think if Trump does win re-election, if he doesn't have a Senate as well, like say Biden is such a uniquely terrible candidate that Democrats flip the Senate, but they lose the presidency. Now imagine a Democrat Senate and a Democrat House. Now I know the Democrat House has been horrendous, absolutely horrendous, against Donald Trump, but that would just be kind of funny, honestly. Like President Trump with a blue Senate and blue House for 4 years. I think that would be pretty humorous. Obviously the presidential executive power is still such that that's still very devastating and dangerous. But at the same time, I just really don't see a situation where Republicans hold on to the Senate, and Biden wins. I just don't see that as a situation. So I think that there's a giant misdirection because one, you can promote people down ballot and help raise a future generation of political leaders, and then two, that has the side effect, as if you will, of helping the Democrat beat Donald Trump on the presidential ticket. And so I just don't see why you'd go all in on attaching yourself to Joe Biden. I think that's weird. And so that's where I disagree. I don't disagree that that's important. I don't disagree that Trump needs to go. But I disagree with throwing your credibility out the window for a super PAC of all things with the express purpose of voting for Joe Biden. I think that's just strategically a very giant error. And that's my opinion on this. So, again, and if they do use a super PAC and they do make it in such a way where it's not corrupt, that's totally possible. I don't have any faith in that, but I'm not going to think that they're going to be corrupt from the get-go because I don't think that that's their MO. I don't think that they're looking to make a quick buck on this. I think that they're just trying to go full nuclear to go at it, and I think that that's inappropriate, and I think that's bad strategy. But I'm not going to sit here and say Jeff Weaver's terrible and he should be burned at the stake either, because I think that's reactionary. But either way, again, it's very questionable, and Bernie is right to be pissed off, especially because they announced it with tying his phrase and legacy to it, which was just that was awful. Now that they've changed it, and honestly, I didn't highlight this because it doesn't matter, but what is it changed to? The fucking name? Yeah, right. So they changed the name. America's Promise PAC. I mean, whatever. It's lame. Here's the thing: is I don't really think it's going to move the needle too much, and I think it blows too much credibility and political capital to really move the needle. And I think if they really wanted to move the needle, doing so by focusing on down ballot races is a lot more important. It just really is. Focus on down ballot congressional races in all these districts and Senate races in all these districts and all these states rather. And I think you'll just have the side effect of helping Joe Biden or whoever the Democrat nominee will be at that point, while also doing something that's far more productive anyway. And that's my opinion. So this is a little bit drawn out, but let me know what you think. And let me know what you think. If you think this is a dastardly evil plot to ruin Sanders' legacy, let me know. And if you think that this is completely A-okay and the best the best usage of strategy and time and money, let me know. Or if you think it's in between like I do, also let me know. But on that note, give me money on Patreon. If you watch 15 minutes of this video, clearly you like me enough to consider giving me $1 on Patreon. give me money immediately. Otherwise, I will think of you as lesser of a person. Yes, my YouTube channel is going to turn into an apartheid state where the patronizers are, the high class people that have all their rights, and the non-patronizers are the people that have no rights. And I'm just letting